This is the all-new BMW R1300RT. Sleeker, smarter, and built to dominate the open road. It's luxury, performance, and tech, all wrapped in one serious touring machine. But is it the king of the road?
It all feels like it's testosterone and gymmed up. This is lovely. The auto in manual mode is really nice. Has this got an Enduro Pro mode? Got to stand up. I'm only joking. Don't get your knickers in a twist. I'm only joking.
Right, I'm back here again, Group 1 in Brighton. No, I'm not sponsored. And I have the brand new R1300RT to take for a bit of a spank. Now, seeing as I made such a royal cock-up of the R12 GS specs, sorry, again, look who I've got with me. Hopefully he knows what he's talking about. So, Will,
ready?
Tell
right.
us all about the RT.
Just for the record, we don't sponsor him. He just gets the specs wrong on purpose. So what we got here today is the new 1300RT ASA. So it stands for Auto Shift Assistant. So you can ride it in a manual mode and a full auto mode. So new RT is 145 brake horsepower. The spec that we've got on it is a nice spec one. So you've got your riding assistant, so it'll give you radar, cruise control, blind spot in the mirrors. If you wander around here, Bruce, I still think this looks really weird with no clutch lever on. I can't get my head around it. It's a bit of a Marmite thing. We got some real fanatics that have changed from the manual to the auto, and then some people that don't like it at all. Really easy to change. All you do is you press this button down here, and where it says N for neutral, it will say D for drive or M for manual. So when you're in drive, twist and go like a moped, if you change it to manual mode, all you do is use the quick shifter just to change gear. With it being auto, it does put on a parking brake, which is quite a good theft deterrent. So if you take the bike off a stand, it doesn't actually go anywhere with that parking brake on. So you can park your bike outside of a cafe, and should be a bit of a theft deterrent. They shouldn't be able to wheel it away. One party trick the bike does, it spent a lot of time in wind tunnels, so you can lift this panel up. That slides up in a nice motion that should give you a nice bit of wind flow for cooling.
They didn't finish it.
Spec sheet is attached to this video. If you have a look, that will give you the full spec and the pricing. So it's just under £25,000, and we'll give you the full list of options.
Awesome. 25 grand, and it doesn't have the speakers.
Right, any complaints if I've got anything wrong there? Oh, come back. It's his fault. Right, let's go out and ride it.
Okay, here we go then. Chuck my leg over it for the first time. Hang on, let's get all this. That on. That on. There's my mirrors all set, they all look good. First thing you notice, it actually feels quite thin compared to the last one. Certainly compared to the 1200s we used to ride. Wow, saying we. I only ever rode them. I wasn't actually a bike cop. I just did the course on Diplomatic before the incident. But yeah, here we go. Big old dash, lovely big dash. What's that, about 10 inch? Yeah, it's about 10 inch that. Lovely big screen. Now this hasn't got the stereo on it obviously, but it's got lots of other bells and whistles. You've got the little burger button there, so it's cruise control, obviously, heating, don't need to worry about that today for sure. Cool, so we'll leave that set on windscreen. Shall we just hit the road? Let's do it. So you've got pull in the brake. We're starting road mode. We'll start with road mode. What sort of modes we got on this? So we've got road, dynamic, dynamic pro. Lovely, cool. Alright, well there's a few things for us to chat about. There we go. Manual, no, let's keep it in auto. Let's hit the road. So first things first, the foot pegs feel quite high actually. Typical RT, beautifully balanced already. This thing just feels like, you know, it's just gliding along. Bit of a sportier position than I was expecting. I'm 6'3", 20 odd stone. Be interested to see how the ASA at BMW call it, isn't it? The automatic. Be interesting to see how that works on this bike, because I've ridden that on the GSA, and not the world's biggest fan of it. It does work quite well in manual, But my argument is, if you're going to buy an automatic and ride it in manual all the time, what's the point? Yes, it's convenient for town riding, city riding, that sort of stuff, but I'd still much rather a conventional gearbox, to be perfectly honest. But give it its due. Yeah, the clunks there. Give it its due. In manual mode, the auto is pretty decent. I did a tour of the Pyrenees recently, and one of the chaps on that, a Scottish guy called Jim, he just bought a GSA with the automatic gearbox, and he was chucking that bike about like a good one. Again, in manual mode though, he was riding it always in manual. Right, so what am I doing today? Right, I've set a little random round trip in Kalimoto, but I have set it to go via Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel. Because look at that. I washed these gloves in the washing machine and they've come out with a big hole in the bottom there. So I need to go and get a new pair. I've no idea if you can wash them in the washing machine or not. Probably my own fault again. Story of my life, not reading the instructions. Well, I did have a little look, I've got to admit. I had a little look at the clothing label and I couldn't see anything that said don't wash it in the washing machine. But right, okay, so I'm going to put this screen up. Oh wow, you cocooned, instantly cocooned. Now there used to be a thing with the old RTs. When you put the screen up at its max height, which I always did anyway, purely because of my size and height, once you got the speed up on the motorways, it kind of felt like you were being pushed from behind. And that was because the turbulence was caused from the wind would rush over your head and then it would sort of pull behind you in the back and push you forward. Apparently, this new screen, it's got a vent or something somewhere. Maybe it's something to do with these vents. That eliminates that. So we're going to jump on the motorway and just try that out. And then I'm also going to try out these movable side panels, because they're supposed to give added wind protection too. At the moment, this auto box, I mean, it still changes gear way too quick, but it definitely feels a smoother gear change than certainly the ones I've tried on the GSA. Dare I say it, it's almost pleasant. Oh, just that handling is lovely. That gear change wasn't though, and that. You see how jolty that is and how early it changed gear. Okay, we're at motorway speeds. Yeah, it feels very neutral here. There's certainly no pressure on the back. I mean, I've got a big rucksack on my back there, and I can feel just a little bit of wind sort of down here. So maybe if you had a pillion on the back, maybe they would be getting a little bit of buffeting. I've got the screen up absolute max. Wonder if altering the screen. Ooh. Okay, there. That's minimised the sort of turbulence on my lower back, but I'm just starting to feel it a little bit at the top of the shoulders. Just a smidgen. Absolutely nothing to complain about. Let me put it back up there. I was purely checking that just to, you know, try for a pillion perspective almost. Mirrors are nice. Mirrors are very nice. Let me just nudge them out a smidgen. Very, very easy to alter. I'm feeling hardly any wind turbulence at all. And you don't feel like you've got a huge sail of a screen either. I mean, my hands have got like no wind turbulence on them at all, and neither do my shins, my feet. BMW apparently have put a lot of work in the wind tunnel on this, because they say that this bike is used by people who commute to the office, and they complained about turning up at the office with, like, you know, dirty shins, dirty shoes, which is why BMW have done all this work to try and protect the rider as much as possible. So there you go, there's your adjustable cruise control. You can see there the speed was set, the radar detects any traffic in front and it'll slow you down accordingly. It's great. I thought it was going to be a massive gimmick when I first saw it. Done thousands of miles on motorways, never needed it. Oh, I'll tell you what, once you use it, it's like, oh, this is awesome. Okay, let's try What are these things all about? Oh wow. Do you know, even at this speed, you know, this is motorway speeds here in the UK. It's, you know, it's not mega fast, but that already, that is taking any sort of wind turbulence off of my my shins. If I grip the tank, then I can't feel it on my legs at all. If I man splay, then yeah, I can just start to feel it a little bit around the edge of the knees here. So that definitely does work. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm not fussed about any of that. It does feel quality, you know, when you lift it up. It doesn't feel flimsy. It doesn't feel like it's just going to snap off in your hand. Yeah, this is a nice place to be. Apparently, when you put it in dynamic, the whole geometry of the bike changes apparently on this, in that it raises the arse. It sort of firms up the back and lifts the back up a little bit, so you're sort of pointed more down on the nose, and that apparently increases, well, it affects like the rake of the bike and all sorts of geometry, and it means the bike will it'll handle in a more sporty way. It's going to turn quicker. This bike's a bit like the Goldwing. It feels like you could just lay this on its ear and it'll happily just go around corners at any speed. It's almost got the K1600. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that you're just cocooned in this glorious bubble, protective bubble. Maybe that's what it is. Because it doesn't feel like it's massive. This K1600 and the old 1250RT, it felt big in front of you. This doesn't. It feels like BMW with this whole new 1300 range. It's like they've sent everything down the gym. I've said it before, you know. It all feels like it's testosterone and gymmed up. It's all Joe Rogan tats and jiu-jitsu'd. It's like the whole range is having a midlife crisis. And to be honest, I quite like it. Maybe it's because I feel a bit of an affinity with it. Do you know what? I think I'm actually going to bring this screen down because I feel really hot. I've got this roadskin hoodie on, and I do like the roadskin hoodies, but they are warm. I find anything above sort of 23, 24 for me, I start feeling the heat. Well, it's currently 27. I used to wear the Helite air vest over the top as well, and that used to restrict the airflow even more. It's kind of part of the reason I've stopped wearing them. I know that's ridiculous because the air vest will save my life, or hopefully at least stop me becoming, you know, it was just too hot after a while. Now that feels dead windy in the face. Anyway, go there, how's that? Happy medium. I can feel wind in my cheeks and just around the edges of my shoulders. Quite like that. Yeah, slower speeds, the gear changes are lovely and smooth. Or maybe not even slower speeds, but under less throttle, the gear changes are lovely and smooth. But as you're winding on the throttle, on the power, the gear changes become very abrupt. And that's in both road and dynamic pro modes. The pro modes, my understanding, although as we found out in the last R12GS vid, my understanding is definitely limited. On the topic of which, Brendan, if you're watching this, Brendan from Group 1, I owe you a massive apology. Brendan tried to point me in the right direction with a few things that I got wrong in my Instagram DMs, and I've got to admit I was really hacked off with myself, and I've been reading quite a bit of criticism in comments, and then I read that message. I had no idea it was from you, Brendan, and I bit back. Well, I didn't bite, well I did. I was very abrupt and basically said, no, you're wrong about what you said. He plainly wasn't, because he then sent me like some detailed information and screenshots, and I was like, oh, alright, this person actually knows what they're talking about. And then when I looked at the account, I was like, oh god, that's actually Brendan from Group 1. So I really do apologise, pal. I meant to apologise to your face when I came in today, but you weren't in. I'm sorry. I've got to stop biting at comments, but I do. I just do. It's in my nature. I'm sorry. I can be really tolerant, but sometimes I don't know, I just bite back. Okay, this is something I'm noticing. Overtakes. When it is in full auto mode, I mean, I'm in dynamic pro mode, so you'd think it's going to be so it's really quite abrupt in the down change, which we know, but I feel like it makes overtakes, it feels like it's like, you know, half a second off. You feel like you're just off in your timing. Maybe I just need to get used to it. Even though it's in full auto mode, I can down change myself there. So there we go, that's me down into third. The difference, that's already gone up to fourth, but if I wait for my gap, got a big junction coming up here, so there's no point, I'm not going to be overtaking here. Okay, so we look to get by that bollard up ahead, we look for a break in the traffic, got nice space into the vehicles in front, so that's all good. My down change, there we go, get this out the way, nice vision all up the hill, there's a lovely gap there. Okay, so if I preempt that, down change into third, see how much smoother that gear, that overtake is. Ah, that's the custom calf. I've been there before, but I can never remember where it is. I always have to Google map it. Nice place, custom calf, good food. Okay, so we've been doing this in full auto. Let's whack it into manual mode. So push that button once, you get an M, see how it says 4M, whereas when it's in auto, it's D. It says D4 for, it's in drive and it's in fourth gear. Well, if I push that button, it just down changed as I did that, so it's in third gear and it's in manual. What is it like to ride now? So will that down change? Yeah, it does anyway, so it'll down change anyway. Oh, I just up changed second to third there. It's only at 30 odd mile an hour. Gloriously smooth. That was lovely. It sounds clunky, but it didn't feel clunky at all, either through the lever or through the bike itself. Right, I'm going to use this manual quite a bit more, and then I'll report back to you in a sec. Let's go and get some gloves. How you doing? Are you doing alright? I'm after another pair of these if possible. Helmet cam, cockpit cam, and come up 1, 2, 3. Right, we are just starting the twisties, so let's do it in road mode, automatic to begin with. Oh, I've picked up my new gloves, look at them, beautiful. These are the Nox, are they Urban Pro gloves? They're really nice, light, still got armour on them, but they're nice and breathable, lovely. For about 100 quid, lovely gloves. I'm overriding the gear change there. Let's just leave it in auto, see what she does. The ride itself feels lovely, very smooth. This is quite a bumpy old road, this. Oh, it's a 30, isn't it? Slow down, small. But it just feels like you're sort of gliding along, really. Said this before, it's a very, very smooth ride. You have a pillion. This is definitely the mode I think I'd be going for. So far, it's been my mode of choice, which, if you follow the channel, is unheard of. If it has a, this is the mode you want for a nice, beautiful, glorious ride, or it has a, this is your utter maniac, do not use this, severe risk of death possible, then I'll go for that one. But it's actually very nice in this bike. Okay, nationals, farm up the drive a wee bit. It's lovely, I mean, this is really nice. The bike feels agile enough as it is, you know, it doesn't feel like a big canal barge or anything. So obviously being auto, you do have to use the brakes more if you leave it in auto, if you want it to down change. Otherwise it's just going to coast until it eventually slows to a speed where it'll down change. It'll downshift. I don't like to do that. to be in the gear I'm going to corner at well before the corner if possible, or once you're picking up the pace, I'll sort of change just as I'm approaching the bend and use the engine braking to take me around. Don't know if that's the right way, but that's the way I do it. Okay, so that's in road. Let's put this into manual mode. Again, up changes, lovely, third to fourth, beautiful. It's sort of 50, 55 miles an hour, glorious. And the down change, conversely, fourth to third. This is lovely. This is a very, very nice ride. Yeah, it is a much nicer ride, an engaged ride for the back twisties if you whack it into manual, obviously. But it's still lovely and smooth. What's it going to be like in, let's go dynamic first. It's definitely a firmer ride, but not spine-jarringly firm. Down into the 30s. These brakes are lovely. BMW have nailed brakes. You know, since I rode that M1000R, I mean, those brakes were just phenomenal. But it seems to be across the fleet now on these 1300s. They've just nailed the brakes. They do the job, but they don't like lock on or anything. They're not sudden, but they just have fantastic stopping power. I don't know if these are the same ones you get in the GS. I'll have a little look and I'll whack it up on the screen now. I don't think I'm noticing any difference so far in these roads between the handling of the road and dynamic, actually, unless it's other than the suspension just being that little bit firmer. Oh, I need to get fuel. Let's go and get some fuel. Right, just filled up with fuel there. I think it's a 24 litre tank, I think. So it's currently been doing about 51.3 miles per gallon. With a full tank, it's showing 244 mile range. The average so far today on this ride, it's showing 52.3 miles per gallon. Okay, and on my GS, probably get sort of similar, I would think, for that sort of riding that we've just done. Anyway, let's carry on. Oh, in fact, what's that saying there on the dash? Navigation, that's to connect to BMW connected app. Media, I never use any of that. Connected, I don't know, don't use that. Right, let's get back to it. Blimey, it's warm. What is it, 24 degrees? God, it feels a lot more than that. I've just whacked it back into full automatic, still Dynamic Pro, but I've whacked it into full auto, coming through the town here. That's like uber lazy, God. But it is convenient, has to be said. God, you don't feel the heat, you're so cocooned here. Like, you don't even get any wind on your hands. Feels like I've got the heated grips on. I don't. At least I don't think I do. No, I don't. Oh yeah, it's up to 28 now. Blimey. I thought it felt more than 24. Right, Nationals! Okay, let's get that back into manual. 1.5 miles, we're doing that left. It's a very workable gear, third. Like, particularly on this engine, actually, on the 1300 engine, third's lovely. And on the 1250, to be honest. But it just feels it's a bit longer in the 1300 than it is in the 1250, I think. This bike really is a pleasant place to be. Pegs do feel high, must admit that. But I'm sure if I got a high seat, I've got the Wunderlich high seat on my GS, I'm sure if I did likewise on this, that would sort out that issue. Speaking of the seat, it is actually really comfortable. We've done about 50-60 miles so far, and yeah, it feels lovely. Yeah, it's a very nice place to be, this. But you're, like I said, you're almost too cocooned. There's hardly any airflow around you. So on these hot days, I am feeling that heat. I like a bit of air around the gills, especially as basically as a bloater, as a fat bloke. It's quite nice to have the wind cooling you down. There's almost none on this. Oh, mind you, if I were to buy one of these bikes, I couldn't afford to eat anyway, so I would lose weight. Well, it's a win-win then, isn't it? Every cloud definitely doesn't feel as rapid as the GS. It's the same engine, but it doesn't feel like you've got the same punch. Second gear. Do you know, I think it's just a little bit further round with the throttle. Maybe I've got used to mine with the DNA air filter as well, I'm not sure, but it just doesn't feel quite as responsive on the throttle, as punchy as my 1300 GS does. And then into the 40. Oh, those brakes are lush. Cracking job. Okay, I've done quite a bit now in Dynamic Pro. Let me go back to road. So road, manual box. That is amazing how different the suspension feels. It is so much smoother. I mean, you literally do glide. Do you know, now I've put this back in road, it does feel, I do feel like I'm sat back in the bike a bit. I think having had it in Dynamic and Dynamic Pro for, you know, the last 30 odd miles, I suppose, maybe I just got used. It's very subtle. It is very subtle. The changes in geometry are very subtle. Now I'm putting this back into road, I do feel like I'm sort of sat back now, whereas when you chuck it into Dynamic Pro, it sort of chucks you up over the front wheel. But you don't, I didn't feel that when I put it into Dynamic Pro. Nush nose. Yeah, I'm going to settle on this. Road mode is definitely my preferred one of choice. I would love to take one of these somewhere like the Picots or the Pyrenees or something, somewhere real twisty. You're down the French Alps. Let's see what it's like down there. I wonder if BMW would loan me a press bike to take down on the French Alps tour. That would be interesting. Yeah, that manual, the auto in manual mode is really nice. I much prefer this to the GSA one. Do you know what? I think I would almost say for this bike, I see the advantages, benefits of having the ASA. Never thought those words would ever come out my mouth. Oh, Body and Castle. That's got a nice calf. Shall we? Shall we? Shall we have a bit of splosh? Oh, okay then. Overflow car park. Lovely. Let's go and have a bit of that. Has this got an Enduro Pro mode? Got to stand up. I'm only joking. Don't get your knickers in a twist. I'm only joking. Right. I've just done the beauty shots here at Body and Castle. I didn't have a cup of splosh. To be honest, I had a quick drink when I filled up with fuel. But I've done all the beauty shots, and I noticed that the front of the seat seemed to be higher than the back of the seat. So I took the seat off and had a little look, and it does, it uses the old sort of low and high seating system. So I've whacked it in high, and it does make a bit of a difference. My god, it's hot. I'm kind of low on my phone battery, so I've got the cables with me. to run it off a power pack if I need to. I had a little look. This little pocket down here is where you can put your phone, and they've thought of a lot of things, like air is directed up there to keep your phone cool, but again they haven't included wireless charging. Now I thought surely they missed that on the GS and GSA, but I thought with the new 1300RT, which is vying a place for the king of tourers, which I think it is, I would put this above the 16 personally, and this I'd put above the Goldwing, and I love the Goldwing. I am very impressed. But anyway, yeah, I thought they would have wireless charging built into this, and they don't. You can get that. I bought a little wireless charging tray from Hornig, and I have that on my 1300 GS. Just fits straight in. There's a cable that plugs into I can't remember if it's USB-C or traditional USB, whatever it is, it plugs into that, no problems at all. And that means I can now wirelessly charge my phone whilst it's in there. And then I use Apple CarPlay to connect to the Innov M1 Pro system I've got on the bike. I do prefer just having my phone out there, to be honest. Anyway, that I think is about the only negative I can think about this bike. It handles beautifully, folks, it really does. I mean, look how balanced this bike is. 20 miles an hour, no problem at all. Just let the engine pull you along. Loving it. 25 grand though. I mean, wow. A lot of money. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn these cameras off, and I'm going to have a little bit of fun on the bike with the cameras off, because I've been I've been on good behaviour. So let me turn the cameras off, have a little bit of fun, and I'll come back to you. Bye. Okay, not quite been an hour, been about 40 odd minutes. Now, something I can tell you is that this bike comes alive at 5,500 revs. There's kind of nothing really to write home about. And then you hit 5,500. Then you hit 5,500 revs, and the pull kicks in. It's certainly 4/5, 6th gear. You're doing certainly nationals, if not north of that, before it kicks in. And I haven't really noticed that in sort of 2nd, 3rd gear on the backcountry twisties. Weirdly, it's only like out on these big open A roads where I've gone to put overtakes on, and you feel that whoosh of power. The bike's by no means slow, it really isn't, but it just doesn't feel as engaging to me as the 1300 GS's. Okay, so I've done quite a bit of time in Dynamic Pro there. Let's just see if I still prefer road. Yeah, it's just so much smoother. It's almost like I don't feel the need to have it in Dynamic Pro on this bike. Road mode suits it, it just glides along. And that difference in like geometry of the bike, it's very, very subtle. Maybe on your European twisties you might notice that, but here in the southeast of England, on the roads I've been riding, hardly noticed that at all. In fact, if I hadn't read about it, I don't know that I'd have picked that up. Yeah, something that I definitely have noticed, even though I've put the seat up to its highest position, it's still too low for me. I definitely need a higher seat. My legs are getting a bit sore now. Oh, I have to stand up. Whew. You can take the boy off the GS, but you can't take the GS out the boy. I tell you, I end up bringing that screen down to try and get some air about me. You are in such an efficient cocoon here that it's quite stifling when the weather's warm. Like it's 31 degrees currently, and I have jeans and a hoodie on, proper bike stuff, road skin stuff, but I am absolutely melting, way more than I am normally. certainly on my bike. It's like they've done such a good job of protecting the rider from the wind buffeting that there's pretty much none. So even your hands are even sweating. I mean, it feels like, it feels like you've got the heated grips on. I have to put the old screen up now. I tell you, I mean, this bike is just sublime in just about every other aspect. If you are after, I mean, I'm going to say it, if you're after the ultimate in touring motorcycle, I think you've got it here. I think this is better than the Goldwing. It is melted to the road. The handling is impeccable, as you'd expect. The old RT was as well. It's just beautiful. But it's like the old RT, except it's more neutral. It's just gorgeous. You can ride this normally without wanting to be a hooligan, and it will propel you up to the legal speeds effortlessly. But if you want to be a hooligan, twist the throttle that little bit more, probably more. It is more than you need to with the GS for some reason. The engine must be tuned differently, and that power's there, and it will go. Brakes are amazing. It's comfortable. I do need a higher seat, but as we know, I'm 6'3", 20 odd stone. For reference, I've got a 32-inch inside leg, 24-inch on a good day. No, I wish. Yeah, I mean, look at these roundabouts. This thing is just, you just go from scraping toe to toe without even batting an eyelid. It's just a lovely, lovely place to be, this. The only negative for me is all this weather protection. It almost fights against itself there. A few people on Instagram have said, oh, does it make you want to put a white helmet and fluorescent yellow jacket on? I already ride along sitting bolt upright because that's just how I ride. Yeah, this thing is a fantastic machine. Get yourself along to your local dealership, take one out for a spin, see what you think. Massive shout out to the folks here at Group 1 for giving us a loan of it. Folks, get on out there, look after those that you love, but live your life. There's people there, I feel like a dick.